Yo. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Can everybody hear me and see me? It's been a long time since I streamed. Yeah, I guess so. It's been like 2.5 weeks. Anyway, welcome to the stream. Yeah, it has been a couple weeks since I streamed. I hope everyone's doing okay. I've been trying to stream a little earlier than normal. It's about noon where I am now, which is earlier than I normally stream. So hopefully it's a little more convenient for a lot of non-Americans that want to watch the stream. For those that are new, I try to stream every week. If I'm really on point, I stream twice a week, but I haven't been really on point in a while. The hair looks awesome today. I appreciate that. Thank you. Lawrence Lucas, thank you for the 5. If you heard them, will Dave Chappelle's comments on the Joe Rogan podcast factor into your second video on the Chappelle show? I don't know exactly what comments you mean specifically. I haven't listened to the whole podcast, but I listened to bits and pieces of it. Not sure why my alert didn't work. I'm out of focus, I feel like I'm always out of focus. All right, I don't know. Anyway. I know you're not a dating coach, haha, but I have a genuine question. What is your unbiased and practical / realistic opinion on games, e.g. texting late when it comes to dating? I don't know. I feel like my perspective on this is not necessarily applicable to anyone because I'm like older. I don't know, there's probably someone older than me in chat that's, laughs at that, but like I'm about to turn 36 years old, so I think my idea of dating is going to be a lot different than someone who's like in their early 20s. Like, I feel like if doing that stuff makes dating exciting and you're not like harming people, then, whatever. But from like a rational standpoint, it's pretty dumb. It doesn't help. I don't think it makes people like you more or less. I think in general people should sort of get over themselves and stop sort of worrying about, you know, looking smooth or anything. Like, just be who you are and let people judge you based on that. That's generally what I live by. But I don't know, I feel like when you're young, dating is kind of like, you know, it's just kind of fun. So, you know, have fun, whatever. Like, after you hit like your 30s, dating is less about fun and more about like, I'd rather not die alone. So, you know, it's a little bit different. Having chicken enchilada progresso soup with peas, potato, and butter. It sounds good. I actually had a progresso soup earlier today, but it was just a regular chicken noodle soup. It's still good though. Hi from Czech Republic. Nice to catch you. Awesome. What's up, Zach? How's it hanging in the ham? I guess it's hanging as it's always hung. Honestly, haven't been outside in the world too much really to really know. But I think it's probably about the same. What's my favorite comedian? I'm not sure. It kind of I kind of jump from different comedians, you know, just based on what I'm into at the time. I really like Michael Che. That's probably one of my favorites. I like Tom Segura a lot. I never watched Chappelle's show, but I was watching your video on it, and you really put it so well how we can enjoy comedy by marginalized groups without truly understanding the message behind it. Yeah, well, I think that's one of the things about Dave Chappelle, and I think that's why so many people like him and why he has such a huge crossover appeal, is because his comedy, I mean, it very clearly has a lot of commentary behind it, but it's also just like really goofy and crude. So like, it's really easy to see how someone could enjoy it, even if they had no interest in the social or political messages. How long does an average video take to make? I mean, if you're including the entire process from brainstorming and researching all the way to, you know, the final upload, for me, I'd say 20 hours on the low end and 100-ish hours on the high end. The high-end videos are usually just the ones that take a lot of research. So like, I'll spend like days researching something to make sure that I've got all the information correct. But I would say most of my videos are in the low to mid range of that. Are light skins and or mixed people black? Well, I think I have pretty weird views on race and what makes people a certain race. In general, I think that race is largely like based on perceptions. So like, I think you can identify as black, but for example, if you're like a white passing person and you identify as black, but the whole world treats you as if you're white, it's hard for me to, like, to me, it's like what matters more is how people treat you rather than what you identify as. Some people might disagree with that, but generally, light-skinned people and mixed people look, well, sometimes mixed people can pass for white, but often they they don't pass for white. I've never dated, but I've always thought to myself, if I ever dated, I want someone that I can actually spend time with and share my soul with, not just to have sex. Yeah, I don't think, well, I shouldn't, you know, I think every relationship is different. Everyone wants different things, but I feel like most relationships that are solely based on sex, like, I mean, that's like, I don't even know if I would define that as dating personally. That's just a fuck buddy. But I do think that sometimes people get into relationships with people and they realize that really the only thing that they are there for is the sex. And that's probably not good. But, you know, I can conceive that there may be relationships out there that thrive based solely on sex. So I don't want to, like, generalize. I'm missing some of the Twitch comments. Okay, hold on. Have I started making my Bishop cosplay yet? No, because I haven't reached the goal. I have to reach 100 homies. Hey T1J, thank you for having this stream. Going back to research, could you elaborate on sources and sourcing, please? Meaning, what are typical sources for you and how do you go about gathering them? Just Google. I don't know, a lot of people ask, like, how do you make sure, how do you get sources? How do you get news? Like, you can get 90% of the way there just through Google. I just Google stuff. You can find almost any, you know, scientific study ever made through Google if you kind of know where to look. And if you can't, sometimes you just got to pay a couple bucks to, you know, be able to read a study. Also, most mainstream news outlets are fine. You know, CNN, New York Times, Washington Post, Guardian. Most of those places are fine and give generally factual information. So, just Google. Google is what I use. How many times has your worldview been shifted dramatically in your life? Like when you were shaken and had to build up your beliefs about an issue from the start? How many times? I don't know. Several times? I don't know if I can tell you how many times specifically. I think that it happens less now because I'm sort of starting to figure out like who I am and what I value. But I imagine most humans over time, their worldview shifts a couple times pretty dramatically because you're just a growing person and you're like figuring out stuff. How do I get inspiration for new videos? At this point, I don't think I'm really lacking inspiration because there's a lot of stuff to talk about. I think there's a lot of topics that that have existed out in the world, but not many people have talked about them. And that's kind of like what I've been doing for the past years, just trying to touch on each of those things that I feel like people should be talking about, but really aren't as much as they should. So when that well runs dry, maybe it'll be a little bit harder. But when you do like I make YouTube videos for a living, and when you do it for a living, you pretty much just force yourself, like inspiration. You just kind of learn how to get ideas, like, because you have to. It's hard to explain, but like your brain sort of kicks into second gear and be like, okay, you've got to put out a video this month. So what's it going to be? Like, I can't not do it. So I think my brain is like sort of entrained to just figure stuff out. And I have a more consistent schedule than a lot of the other video essayists, a lot of the other political people. You know, like some of the other people, they just kind of wait until they have an idea, and you know, you won't get a video for like 3 months or something. I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to make sure I'm consistently putting out videos. So really enjoyed the video on SNL's Black Jeopardy. Do you think there's space for comedy and satire to provide common ground for good political conversations? I think that comedy and satire can definitely, you know, get conversations started, but I don't think it's the job of comedy and satire to do that. It can, but I don't think we should be relying on comedy and satire to do that, because comedy is always about jokes first. Well, not always, but I do think that's the main goal with most comedy, is just to make you laugh. And if they have to choose between making you laugh and telling the truth, they'll probably choose making you laugh. So I don't think that we need to wait on, you know, satirists and comedians to start these conversations. We have to find other ways to do it as well. How long do I usually store a video before uploading? I generally make the video that I'm gonna upload. I don't make videos and then not upload them. I almost never do that. So usually the video that I'm working on is the next video I'm gonna upload, so I don't store them. The only time I like choose not to upload a video is if I just don't like it and I don't plan to upload it ever. But that rarely happens. I have a lot of time before fully recording a video to decide if I don't like it. Dumpster Jedi, I'm not the person to ask about careers. I don't know anything about the job market. I'm lucky enough to where I have this weird, awesome career that didn't require me to have to do a job interview or, you know, anything like that. Continuity over quality. Yeah. I think there needs to be a baseline of quality. I don't think that my videos are bad. If they were bad, then I wouldn't upload them. But yeah, I am more focused in I'm more focused about putting out decent stuff than I am about making you know, spending 5 months making a masterpiece. That's not really my thing. It works for other people. Like, you know, some people I love, like, you know, we always talk about ContraPoints on this stream. If she put out a video like twice a month, that would probably be lower quality, and maybe we wouldn't want that. But that's just not how my channel operates. Do I ever get the urge to promote smaller creators, suggest them to your fans? Yeah, and I do. Thing about promoting smaller creators is, first of all, I'm not big enough to where my suggestion will cause any sort of noticeable increase. And also, I think a lot of people who are talking about like large creators should be promoting smaller creators more. They kind of don't understand how these algorithms and stuff work, because it doesn't do anything. Like, it really doesn't do anything. They may get a small boost of a few new followers or subscribers, but after that, it plateaus out very quickly. It doesn't really do anything. This day and age, it's all about algorithms, being suggested by algorithms. Also, you know, a lot of smaller creators, I think, are just not ready, and I don't like that. That kind of sounds sort of condescending, I guess, but you can kind of tell that they're not really taking everything seriously enough, and it's not a good look to promote someone that isn't taking it very seriously. But when there's cases of smaller creators that are like making real good shit and taking it seriously, I'm happy to promote them. And I've done that before. Like I mean, and you know, I don't know what you mean by smaller. Like, if you mean someone with like 100 subscribers or someone like 80,000 subscribers. I mean, both of those are technically smaller than me, but it's a little bit different. Do you consider yourself successful? If so, when did you realize it? I don't know. I don't think I like the word successful. I don't know what that means. I think that I still have a lot of things that I want to do. I don't think I've achieved all my goals. But at the same time, I have managed to find myself in a career that is basically like a dream job, and I would think that's a pretty huge success. But there's still a lot of goals I have financially and like personal development wise, emotionally. So I don't know if I would say I'm a huge success, but I think I've made it to a certain extent that, you know, a lot of people would love to make it. How do you feel about blackwashing or race banding? I don't think I'm familiar with what that is. Well, I mean, I don't know, the terms are weird. What's up, JMB? At what point in your YouTube journey did you decide to pursue it full time? Also, do you have any backup options if YouTube closes tomorrow? Well, I guess I started pursuing YouTube full time. I mean, I put in full time work into YouTube from the beginning, like from like 2010 or something. But when I decided, like, when did I stop doing other jobs, is just as soon as I started making money from YouTube. And honestly, I started doing that way too early. Like I quit my job way earlier than I should have. And I struggled financially for a while. But I kind of felt like it was worth it because I was doing an awesome job. But eventually, things got better over time. So, in terms of backup options, the YouTube is not the only platform, and I think that anybody that is trying to be a content creator for a living needs to not put all of their eggs in one basket. Is that the term? No one should be focusing all their efforts into one platform. That's a bad idea. So if YouTube closes down, there's other platforms. There's Twitch, there's Twitter, there's Instagram, there's Patreon. There's gonna be somewhere else to go. Now, if like the internet as a whole crashes or something, then that might be a different story. Electric Lomain, thank you for the 5. Hi T1J, what are your top 3 chess grandmasters of all time? Well, I don't know all the grandmasters that well. I mean, of the ones that I'm familiar with, I don't know. I guess, I mean, first of all, there's so many grandmasters. So like, really, it's going to be like, who are my top 3 chess content creators? Because that's who I've been watching right now. Like, I really like Grandmaster Amon Hamilton from the Chess Bra channel. I really like Maurice Ashley. And I don't know, in terms of like playing style, I guess Hikaru. He's also a really good content creator, but the way he plays is like really, really crazy. He's like really like aggressive and wild in the way he plays. What types of jobs did I do before YouTube? I had a bunch of weird jobs. I worked security I think the last job I did before going full time was I worked security at a bar. Before that, I worked in a call center. Before that, I think I worked at a library. I did a bunch of retail jobs, and I did a bunch of food delivery jobs. Changing a character to POC for representation. Oh. I mean, I guess I don't care about that. Like, I'm not like I'm in favor of more POC representation. Like, I don't really have a problem with that. Like, there's no lack of white representation on TV, so I don't really mind, changing white characters to person of color. I think people who are saying it's hypocritical, like, are just kind of misunderstanding how representation works. Like, when you've already got adequate representation, it doesn't matter if some of your characters are, you know, they change their how they look. Electric Eclectic, what's up? Where did the follow me voice come from? It's from a video game called Outworld Abe's Odyssey. Where did my name come from? Basically it's just a silly name I came up with, but if you want to know the story, I made a video about it. It's called Why Am I Called the One Janitor? T1J is short for the one janitor, for those that don't know. Hey T1J, I discovered your content last week and I've been binging through it and loving it. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words. Tips to 20-year-olds during this pandemic. The future looks pretty bleak. I don't know. You might need to be more specific. Tips related to what? I think in general, my tips is just to be kind and be honest and try to think about human beings in a complex way. That's my general advice, but I don't know what you mean for specifically. I'm developing a film about a black man surviving in the dystopian future. I'm a white dude. What's a major problem you see with the portrayal of black characters in film? How can I change it? I think that, I mean, really what people have issues with in terms of depictions of black people is if the depictions are like overdone, stereotypical depictions. I think people are kind of sick of that, or at least if not sick of it, it's just like, you know, people are going to, no one's going to really take it seriously, I guess. If it gets like super stereotypically, then it can end up being offensive, but I think really what people just are looking for is just authentic representation. And I think authentic representation just involves making it like a real person, not necessarily being like, what does a black person do? I don't know if anybody who isn't black can really answer that question. So if you want, like, if the film is about race and it's about being black, then you need to consult some black people to make sure that the representation is authentic. If the film is not about being black or about race, then just make it a person, and it doesn't matter, because there's no specific behavioral traits that are like genetically tied to being black. Are there any conservative commentators you like to watch or read? Any socialist or far left commentators? Well, I don't like engage a lot of political content these days. I definitely can't think of any conservative commentators. watch or read. As far as socialists, I mean, I watch Hassan sometimes. Um, I look at Vosh every now and then. I've seen a bunch of thought slime videos. I don't know if there's any that I like just consistently, you know, consistently consume. What impact do you think the Israel-Palestine conflict has on politics in the West? I don't know. I have no idea. I think that the Israel-Palestine thing is just another source of polarization in, especially, I mean, particularly in America, probably in other countries as well. Just one of those, it's another one of those things where it just seems like impossible to have a serious conversation about it, because everyone apparently has deemed themselves an expert on this conflict, and everyone is, well, I shouldn't say everyone, but a lot of people just have their minds made up, even though it seems to be like infinitely complex and probably too complex for any random person to just somehow have the correct answer. But it just seems to be another source of political discord in this country. Japanese artists have been harassed on Twitter for changing the skin color a few tones lighter for lighting. They also see it the same way as whitewashing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know the the rationale. I know that in Asian culture, it is common for Asian people to sort of romanticize whiteness. I don't know if that's what's going on there, but I know that is a problematic idea, but there's other reasons why you might do that. So I don't know what these artists, what their defense of that is. Also, Twitter's bad, so whenever people are harassing people on Twitter, like, I automatically like side against Twitter, because Twitter's always acting dumb. Have I played the newest Oddworld game? I have not. You're a beautiful person. I love your hair and skin tone. Thank you for the kind comment. Will Biden run again? I kind of doubt it. That dude's old as fuck. What's up, Simbel? What video games are you into at the moment? I haven't been playing anything. The only games that I've been playing are chess and Street Fighter. That's like the only games that I've played in the past like 3 months. I watched my friend play Resident Evil, the new Resident Evil. I didn't play myself though, I just watched. It looks cool. Do you think people are heavily inclined to form strong opinions about subjects or social issues they haven't done the adequate research? Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what most people do most of the time. Why are my alerts not working? Electric low main. Thank you for the 5. Can you elaborate on what you like about Night Court, Cheers, and Mama's Family? I enjoyed those shows as well. Can I elaborate? I mean, I don't really, I'm not going to do like a video essay about each show right now. But I mean, for one, they were funny, like they were genuinely funny. I think that they were all, well, Night Court and Cheers are, you know, we talk about like the workplace comedy more in terms of like this era shows like The Office and Parks and Rec and stuff like that, but you know, Night Court and Cheers were also, you know, workplace comedies for the most part, and they kind of like, I don't know if they invented the genre, but I think that they were precursors. And so they had all of these, they were like ensemble casts where like they had all of these little characters and stuff, and all the characters are really cool. And it was like, I just remember those shows. Well, particularly Night Court and Cheers. Mama's Family is a little bit different, but Night Court and Cheers, you kind of like, we're really invested in the characters, kind of like how we are with sitcoms today. Like, you get invested in the characters and the relationships between the characters. Mama's Family is just hilarious. It's like a live action cartoon, basically. And the you know, the, it's been a while since I've seen it, but like, I forgot the actress's name, but Mama was just like, I don't know, like just one liner after one liner. I had no idea you could stream on Twitch and YouTube at the same time, and the combined chat is great. What do you use for that? It's called Restream, restream.io. What kind of work have you done for a living? I talked about this a little bit earlier. I've done a lot of retail jobs. I've done a lot of delivery driving jobs. I worked at a library. I worked at a bar. That kind of stuff. Yeah, News Radio is another good one. I think News Radio came out a little bit after Cheers and stuff, but yeah, it carried on the legacy of the workplace comedy. Cheers was really good. Cheers is definitely the best of those three, in my opinion. I think the right oftentimes forms strong opinions about things like cancel culture, for example, without doing much research on their own, form strong opinions and take it completely out of context. Yeah, I mean, well, I think there's a very strong right-wing propaganda machine that contributes to that. But I also think the left does it just as much. The left, you know, the left forms a lot of their opinions without doing any research either. A lot of people get their news from Twitter or from YouTube without, you know, the proper context, so they kind of like don't know what's actually going on. They don't know like the details of what's going on. Is this now your full-time job? Yes, it is. I don't need Restream to tell me that I've received 100 messages. Can I turn that off? Can I block Restream in its own chat? Do I got a take on Israel-Palestine? My general take is that it's very complicated, and I'm not smart enough to have the answer to that, and I think that most people aren't smart enough, so it's a little bit obnoxious when people talk very authoritatively on this thing that's been going on for like 100 years. Um, I did like. I don't know if you guys saw Trevor Noah's take on the thing, and I did kind of agree with what he said. Was basically like when you compare Israel and Palestine, one of them is quite clearly much bigger and much more powerful. And I think that it's fair to say, like, when you have much more power, you probably also have much more responsibility. It's the Spider-Man principle, obviously. So I think that's something to take into consideration. But at the same time, just because someone is smaller than you doesn't mean that you have to let them, attack you without retaliation. But then it gets into a back and forth argument about who did it first, who's more at fault, who deserves to win, stuff like that. And those are the answers that are just far too complex for me. Speaking of propaganda machines, what do you think about what the Gravel Institute is doing? Offset PragerU. I haven't seen any of the Gravel Institute stuff. I'd be interested to check it out. I wonder if it's actually good information or if it's just a counter propaganda machine. Like, is it like MSNBC or is it like actually decent information? I don't know. I haven't seen any of it. Can I talk about what my demography could consist of? You mean for my channel? About 50% of the people who watch my videos are from the United States. The other 50% are from other countries. The most common being Canada, UK, Australia, the English-speaking countries, as you might imagine. I think it's more men than women, although that depends on videos. Like, it depends on what videos blow up. Like when my Sam Harris video was doing really well, I had it was like 80% men around, but I think it's something like 60% male, according to YouTube. Unfortunately, I don't think YouTube tracks, genders, like non-binary, genderqueer and stuff. Like, I've done a little bit of that research on my own, but it's it's a small percentage, as you might imagine. But yeah, mostly white people from what I can see. I'm pretty sure that YouTube asks you your gender when you make your account. Do you think people don't actually do their research and only listen to people who have the same opinion? I definitely think most people don't do research. I don't think people only listen to people who have their same opinion. I just think they listen to people who are the most persuasive. But the people who are the most persuasive are not always the people who are right or who are honest. And even if you didn't put your gender in, although I don't know, it probably was optional, but even if you didn't, it's pretty easy for robots to figure out your gender. Or at least for robots to guess your gender. Yeah, there's been some these algorithms are like they know more about us than we know about ourselves. Like it's pretty wild. Like there's been stories of algorithms on Facebook like outing people for being gay before they even knew that they were gay, like stuff like that. But I'm almost certain that when you sign up for your YouTube account, they ask you your gender. It may be an optional question, but I'm sure that they at least ask it. Why are men more likely to be conservative than women? I mean, I don't know for sure, but if I had to guess, it's probably because conservatism is pretty chauvinistic, and that's appealing to men, and more likely to be appealing to men than it is to women. But I think that is that true? I'm not even sure if that's true, because I think there's a lot of like really strongly traditional conservative women, and I would not be surprised if they were going just as strong as men. Have you ever traveled outside the US? And if so, where did you travel? Not really. I was born in Germany because I had a military family. And I visited Panama once when I was very young. I barely remember it. But that was it. Those are the only times I've been outside the United States. YouTube thought I, as a generally progressive random white Canadian dude, would like your videos, and it wasn't wrong. Well, that's great. You know you look like Dwayne Wade. I have heard that before. Conservatism these days focuses on male, white, and Christian superiority. I think that generally it's something like that, yeah. I mean, American conservatism is all about traditional family values and traditional family structure, which includes men being at the top. And I just feel like in this day and age, I think there's probably still a lot of women that are okay with that, but it is probably much less likely now than it was maybe like 50 years ago or something. What do I think about the Godzilla King of the Monsters designs? I don't know. I don't know anything about it really. I found your videos just by searching videos on YouTube, and one of your videos came up. It was a video you did back in 2011. 2011? Jeez. 2011 is before I even had any subscribers, really. I probably had like 500 subscribers in 2011. Do I get that a lot? I've gotten a decent amount of times. I think I got Dwayne Wade more as I got older. I used to get Wyclef a lot. Why are the men's rights and feminist arguments are becoming a which gender suffers the most competition? I think, I don't know, people I think it's easy for people to get sucked into this competition type of idea. Like, I don't think it's about who suffers the most. Like, that's not how we should be thinking about everything. It's just a complete oversimplification of what's going on. But yeah, I think people just want to, people want it to be a competition. Like, people want to win. People don't want to just have conversations a lot of the time. They want to win. They want to there's something on my face. They want to they just want to have their opinions validated, and the way that they feel like they do that is through some kind of competition, some kind of made up competition. At the time, I thought you were just any regular YouTube, didn't realize you were one of the big ones. At the time, in 2011, I definitely didn't have 200,000 subscribers in 2011. Oh, you're saying it pulled up an old video. Okay, I get it now. Sorry. What video? Why would it? I don't even know what video would pull up. Maybe the N-word video. I feel like that's the only video from that time that still gets views for some reason, which I hate because the video sucks. It's so bad. Am I excited for the Mass Effect remake? I don't know. I never was like super into Mass Effect. I played Mass Effect 2 a lot. That was the only one I really played, and it was cool, I guess, but I never became like a huge fan. I get chills every time you say that's just me though. What do you think? Hands down the best send off on YouTube. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been using that for a while now. It's pretty crazy. That's been my sign off for like almost since the beginning, but like since like 2013 or something. It's pretty crazy. Do I ever write fiction? Not these days. I used to. I have to write for my videos, so I don't have a lot of time to write other stuff. Yeah, I think the N-word video would be the only one that would like come up in a random search, because I think that's the only video from that time that has a lot of views. And it still gets views. I mean, I might check out the Godzilla movie, but I mean, I don't really do movie reviews. It's not like the type of content I do, but I can maybe talk about it on the stream if I do watch it. The Godzilla as a franchise is just something that it just completely passed by me without, I've never seen anything Godzilla related. I don't know anything about Godzilla. As a young girl, it used to feel like my ideologies don't belong anywhere. And the YouTube is like you and many others really give clarity and a sense of belonging to people like me. Much love. Thank you for the kind words. I'm glad that the videos can do that for people. Yeah, my goal is just to make, I guess, just to make things easier to sort of think about and talk about. Even though I try to always stress that everything is complicated, I don't want to oversimplify things. But, you know, there's got to be a place where we can start to talk about these complex issues in a thoughtful way. That's kind of what I'm going for. So it's cool that it's working for at least some people. But yeah, so I do have a new video coming out. It should be next week, a week from today, actually. So Friday the 21st. So look out for that. And I'm gonna try to stream again on Monday if possible. Opinions in the Mulan remake. I didn't see the Mulan remake. I think it's something I have to like bring up every stream, is I'm like really out of touch when it comes to popular media. I don't really keep up with TV or movies or music. The only like media that I keep up with is MCU stuff. And just kind of like random shows and stuff that I catch. Like I watched Invincible, that was pretty cool. I can't remember the last movie that I've seen, like new movie. I usually watch, well, not usually, but sometimes I watch sitcoms when they're released on streaming media. But as far as like TV shows and movies go, like I probably haven't seen it. Even video games, I'm like out of touch with video games now too, which is kind of sad. I watch a lot of YouTube though. I watch a shit ton of YouTube, so that's kind of where most of my media attention lies. But it's hard to even talk about YouTube because there's so much stuff on YouTube. So the stuff that I watch on YouTube is probably different from the stuff that you watch on YouTube. Do you think Tupac would squash the beef with Biggie? Yeah, as he matured and got older. I think a lot of people don't realize how young they were when they died. Like, how old was Tupac? Like 20, 25 or something when he died? Yeah, 25. 25. Tupac died when he was 25. That's so young, dude. Like, you know, I mean, I know there's a lot of people here who are probably around that age range or younger, but like, you are like barely a person at 25. Like, it is not impossible, but like, most people who are 25 barely know who they are or barely know how to be a person. Any hobbies I want to pursue? Well, if I wanted to, I would probably do it. I think the main hobby that I'm pursuing right now is chess. And D&D, I guess, counts. So chess and D&D are probably the two biggest things I'm into right now. What are your opinions about fans idolizing and praising their idols and attacking anyone who criticizes them? Well, that's obviously bad. Like, you shouldn't behave like that. It's probably bad to idolize any person, or to treat anyone as if they're more than just another person just like you. That's probably always bad to do. And also, you know, don't be a troll who's attacking people. Like, that's just not a good look. What are my thoughts on the sitcom Roseanne? I think that Roseanne is one of the greatest shows ever made. It's like in my top 5 favorite sitcoms, maybe even top 3. A lot of rappers from back in the day ended up dying. Jam Master Jay, one of the guys from NWA, almost died. Also died almost 20 years ago. Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of rappers, especially from those days, grew up in very, you know, rough and violent situations, violent neighborhoods. So there was, like, in the old school fucking rap days, and honestly it still happens today, but especially back then, like, the rap scene was strongly tied into the gang scene, and it was like pretty intense. Like, it was like straight up like mafia shit. How are the COVID regulations where you live? Are you able to see your friends and stuff? I think that they are going to drop the mask mandate. I forgot when that's supposed to happen. It may have already did. But I mean, we haven't really been on lockdown for the longest. Like, you can pretty much go wherever you want. It's just most places require you to wear a mask. But I think that is going to end pretty soon, especially after the CDC eased restrictions and stuff. I think most businesses are still probably going to require masks, but in terms of like visiting people and stuff, we've been allowed to do that for a while. Do I still watch chess? I watch a lot of chess content on YouTube and Twitch. Yes. Favorite D&D class? Probably fighter. I just like smacking things. I like getting up in people's faces and smacking them. Although I've been trying out a lot of weird sort of different class combinations. Like I'm actually about to play a game this weekend where I'm going to try out a Blade Singer Wizard, which is kind of like a melee fighter mage, which is pretty dope. Congrats on the car. It's sick. I agree. I also think it's sick. How fast have I gone? I don't know. I don't really drive that fast. I'm not trying to get a ticket out here. I'm trying to limit my interactions with the police as much as possible. So I drive normal. But it is still fun to drive the new Mustang. Roseanne is one of those that falls in the category of separating art from the artist. Roseanne is an amazing show. Roseanne by herself isn't so great of a person. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think Roseanne has made a lot of public gaffes or whatever, but I don't know that lady. I try not to make a habit of just like villainizing people. Just, I hope she's okay, and I hope that whatever problems she has that she figures out. Maybe she's like some kind of evil villain, but I kind of doubt it. I mean, I've heard that, I think there was like a documentary about how she was like really shitty to like the people who worked with her on the show and stuff like that. So that kind of sucks. But that show was on a long time ago. Oh, lucky I'm in my 6th month of lockdown. Well, I mean, lucky is one way to say it. I think that we should have been more strict about letting people congregate and stuff like that. I think America in general should have taken that more seriously. So I don't know if I would say it's lucky. I've never listened to the Joe Budden podcast. No. Have I played Mass Effect yet? Nope. Did they already release the remake? I'm not super interested in Mass Effect, to be honest. I guess the games are good. I played Mass Effect 2 a lot. It was really fun, but sister and I bought a D&D starter kit / essentials. We're kind of intimidated. Is it as hard to get into as it seems? It is not hard to get into. I think that there is a lot to it, but you don't have to know all of it when you start. You will learn it over time. And if you watch, any like DM, no one has the game like memorized 100%. I have never met or seen a DM that didn't have to like look up a rule every now and then. So all you really have to know is like the very basics of how things work. And even if you don't, you can just look it up, at the table. It's fine. And the starter kits are like they're really good for, sort of like giving you an idea of what to do and how to do everything. But beyond that, I promise it's more about role playing and making decisions than it is about like knowing the rules and stuff. Like the way D&D works is player says what they want to do and DM says what happens. That's how you play D&D. That's it. There's some rules in between. You may have to roll some dice, things like that. And then when you get into combat is where most of the rules and stuff lie. Outside of combat, it's pretty simple. I'm glad our fellow castmates didn't get left out of a job. Even though I don't watch the Connors, I still think it's a good thing they got to keep their careers. Yeah, and the Connors is good. It's fine. How do you factor a YouTube income when you file your taxes? I don't understand the question. How do I factor it? I don't know. I just put it down as my income. You consider yourself a feminist these days. How do you think we should combat the growing misogyny today? I mean, the word feminist is still kind of nebulous to me. I still think of a feminist as someone who's involved with feminism, and I'm not specifically involved with feminism, but I support feminists and I support feminism. As far as combating misogyny, I think, there's many angles to go. I mean, from a personal angle, I think the best way to combat bad ideas is to spread good ideas. But beyond that, there's got to be like policy initiatives, and we got to vote. There's stuff like that we got to do as well. Breaks the rules, guidelines are made to be broken. That's the thing about D&D as well, is when you're the DM, you make the rules. So if you don't remember what the official books say, you can just make it up, and it's fine. I promise it's fine. And then if you go and check it later and you realize, oh, it should be done like that, then you can do that. Or you can be like, I don't like that, so I'm not going to do it like that. That's the beauty of D&D. There's a lot of like official rules in D&D that I don't like and I don't use, or I change it because I don't like them. And I think every DM does that. So you do whatever you want. Just have fun playing D&D. It's not like a video game where you have to do what they've programmed you to do. Like we were talking about Mass Effect before. You can't jump in Mass Effect. I don't like it that you can't jump. It's a minor gripe, but I just like being able to jump. It makes me feel like I can control my character. But you can't jump. You can't make your character jump. And the thing is, I can't do anything about it. I can't decide, I don't like that, I'm gonna jump instead. But you can do that in D&D. In D&D, granted, you can jump in D&D, but if you couldn't, the DM can be like, you know what, I'm gonna let you guys jump. I've never seen Harmon Quest. I don't know where to watch it. I've been wanting to watch Harmon Quest for a while. Do you think oftentimes people have to mentally force themselves to listen to or seek out information that may conflict with their most firmly held beliefs? Yeah, I mean, everybody has to do that. I don't think... Generally, most people are naturally resistant to things that conflict with their biases, with their preconceived notions. And it requires a specific will to seek that kind of information out. I think that everybody has to do that. Boomer Watchdog, thank you for the compliment. Do I consider myself an activist? Not really. Basketball, Lakers, or Nets? I haven't kept up with NBA in a while, but my team has always been the Lakers ever since Shaq and Kobe. Being a gym is mostly about creating a good playing experience. Exactly. I agree. What's your Myers-Briggs personality type? Do you believe in that shit? I mean, I don't think it like means anything. I think it's interesting in some ways. And I think it's probably decent for creating like a base guideline of personality, but obviously you can't break a person down into like 4 letters. I think that whenever I do like the online quizzes, I usually get ENTP. I think I usually get ENTP or ENFP. Last time I did, I got ENTP. Do I stream every Sunday? Nope, I never stream on Sunday. The first season's on Amazon Prime. I did not know that. I need to watch that. But yeah, I always thought it was on some weird platform that I know I'm not going to get. Has anyone assumed that you had a specific view because of your race? Sure. I think one thing that comes to mind is people assume that I was a huge fan of Obama because I'm black. And honestly, over time, my attitude towards Obama has, I've like softened my attitude towards him. I used to like be pretty strongly critical of Obama, but when you actually like go back and look at everything, like you kind of realize that Obama did try to do a lot of things. He just had like a really, really difficult obstructionist Republican Congress to deal with. They did basically, he tried to play ball with the Republicans and the Republicans won. So I'm a little more sympathetic to him these days, but I still have a lot of criticisms of Obama. But back in the day, I was like really critical of Obama, and a lot of people just assumed that I was a big fan of him just because I was black. How do I see LeftTube these days? I don't know. I don't really keep up. I don't really even think about LeftTube. I don't know what that is. I just watch people that I like. I think there's different ideas of what LeftTube even is. It seems like LeftTube is like, it's like a pejorative now. Like people don't even want to be considered LeftTube. But there's a lot of the people who are like quote unquote LeftTube are people who make good videos. So, I watch it if I like it. Do I watch The Real? No, I don't know what that is. After Wikipedia, where are the best places to look for sources when researching a video? Google? When will we get an atheist president? I wouldn't be surprised if we get one sooner than later. I don't think that people care about that as much as they used to. Well, I think that if the candidate was like an outspoken atheist, that might harm them. But like, for example, I'm like pretty sure that Bernie Sanders is an atheist, or at least he's a religious. And he had a pretty decent shot. at becoming president. So I don't think it's that I don't think it's that much of a stretch. Yeah, and it's possible we've already had atheist presidents that just didn't admit it. I think Donald Trump is an atheist, to be honest. You think that man believes in God? You think that man like cares about, if anything, he's like his own God. Obama basically had no pathway to do anything. Yeah, that's what I kind of realized over time. He did make some specific decisions that I disagree with, like his, he was just as, interested in war as any other American president. But there's a few things that I gave him shit for that over time I realized that he actually tried to fix or improve, but the Republicans just gangstered him harder than he was able to deal with. Coolest drinking spot in Birmingham? Probably Shoe Shop or Electra. Those are my favorite spots. I think Bernie will run in 2024. Again, I don't know. These dudes are old as fuck. Like, they can't keep doing this forever. I don't know if I think that Obama was an atheist, but possible. Is Disco Ass actually dead? I don't know. Is it? A lot of people voted for Biden because, or at least the narrative is that a lot of people voted for Biden because they thought that he was more electable. And honestly, they might have been right. I don't know, man. The thing about it is Bernie Sanders had a lot of support from like centrists, and even some right-wing people seem to like Bernie Sanders, at least when compared to Trump, which I don't understand, but for whatever reason. And then they did a poll a while back that said that a lot of people who were Bernie Sanders fans said that Trump would have been their second choice, which again I don't understand at all, but people have their own shit. Fact is, because he's black, the Republicans immediately freak regardless of what people think of Obama. I agree 100%. The pure animosity that Republicans had for Obama is unprecedented. I don't think that we've seen it before or since. I mean, you could argue that the Democrats had a similar animosity for Trump, but I would argue that that animosity was warranted. And I guess that can sound biased, but I mean, I feel like I can point to pretty significant differences. Like Obama was a classy dude. He was polite. He was respectful. Um, he didn't. I don't think he did anything that warranted that kind of hatred and, just outright disdain. When compared by comparison, Trump was just always a bully and an asshole and rude, just all the time. So I don't know if it's a real comparison. Will we have trillionaires in our lifetime? It seems possible. I certainly hope not. I think that if we make the right moves as a world and country, we can prevent that from happening. But if we don't make the right move, it seems like it's possible. I mean, $200 billion. It's still it's still a ways off from a trillion. But when you think about how fast someone like Bezos or Bill Gates, how fast they went from, a couple billion to 200 billion, or Elon Musk, any of these guys. Like when you can go from being worth, like Elon Musk was worth what, like $10 billion like 4 years ago or something, and now he's like 200 billion. Like if you can make that much money that fast. So yeah, I don't know. I remember back when Obama first ran, a lot of people pushed conspiracy theories against Obama. Yeah, they made up a lot of shit. I remember they were talking, like a lot of people were talking about how he's like a Muslim Arab, and at first I thought that this was true because I wasn't super informed, I guess, but it was just like the narrative. And I live in Alabama, so that's kind of what people were talking about. But people were like, oh, he's Muslim, he's not American. I've talked a little bit about the Israel-Palestine thing, but in general, I just think it's too complex for a person like me to actually comment, and I also think it's too complex for most people to really comment. So it's interesting that so many people feel the need to. Why don't people acknowledge Biden's history as a racist? I'm confused. I don't think it's true that people don't acknowledge it. I feel like that's all that I heard about during Biden's campaign. I feel like literally that's all people talked about. What's the path forward if compromise gets us walked over and honest conviction gets us called radicals? I don't know. I mean, I think it's too broad of a question. And I also think that's a sort of a false dichotomy. I think you can have honest conviction in things that aren't radical, but when you're talking about politics, I think that some thought should be given to what is practical. What can we actually do? So like A good example is abolish the police. A lot of people say that that's a radical position, and maybe, you know, and a lot of people like honestly support that, but let's be honest, we're not going to abolish the police. It's like not going to happen. So there's a level at which we have to be practical about what we can actually achieve in a reasonable amount of time. So you know, you have to, that's how I feel, at least. Like, you have to be practical. I mean, you can march the streets and shout abolish the police, but no one's going to take you seriously because it's impractical. Most people don't want it. It's unpopular. Like, you know, there's a level at which you push, you know, I think there's a lot of things where we need some, you know, pretty extreme changes, but you have to be practical about what you can do right now. Do I have any hobbies outside of politics? Yeah, of course. I like fighting games and chess and sitcoms and D&D. What has happened to Doug Jones and Roy Moore in Alabama? Doug Jones got Doug Jones lost his election. He lost his re-election. And I think Roy Moore tried to run again and also lost. I don't know what Roy Moore's up to. Doug Jones lost to Tommy Tuberville, who is a former football coach and has very little political experience, but he's a Trumper, so Alabama liked him. How do you feel Biden will deal with dictators? I just saw a video from a North Korean escapee saying he's too soft. I don't know. This is something that I generally neglect to comment on is foreign policy, because I don't think I'm smart enough to really parse that sort of stuff. Maybe I'll do more research over time, but foreign policy just seems way too complicated for me, and I think you would have to be in that position to really have any idea of what you should be doing. Anytime I feel like I have a hunch on foreign policy, there seems to be like 100 counterpoints to it. I don't know how. I don't envy anyone who has to make those decisions. And I don't know, it seems like a lot of people disagree, but when I'm like, if I'm trying to decide who to vote for, I truly don't give a shit what they did like 10, 20 years ago. Like, I don't care. What I want to know is what you're doing now. Like, if you did something bad, or if you had bad policy 10 to 20 years ago and you still have those bad ideas, then that's one thing. But if you've changed your platform and changed your policy, that's what I care about. I'm not really interested in trying to like read people's hearts and tell people that they're lying about their views. I just go off what people say, and you hold people accountable to what they say. So I don't know. I don't really do this thing where it's like, oh, well, Biden or whoever, he says he's doing this now, but 15 years ago he said this, and I choose to believe that he's the same as he was 15 years ago and that he didn't evolve or change his views in any way. I don't really operate like that. I would have preferred to vote for Bernie Sanders, but I think that Biden is I think that Biden, or at least I thought that Biden was acceptable. He has a decently progressive platform. The main problem with Biden for me was that he still is not in favor of single payer healthcare. That was kind of the main problem. But in terms of his platform, I didn't see like a huge issue there. So I guess that's just me. I mean, if you're like I don't know. But, there's people saying like, Biden's a fascist or whatever. And it's like, in what way? Like, what is the evidence of that? I don't know what you're talking about. And it's also another, like, people were talking about how people form opinions without doing research. I think that applies here. Like, a lot of left-wing people they just believe that they're supposed to dislike Biden for some reason, but they don't really know anything about what he supports or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. What do I think of Candace Owens? I feel like I disagree with almost everything I have ever heard her say. It could just be the circles that I run in, probably outside of sort of online social media circles. People didn't talk that much about Biden. Like, I know, like, a lot of black people in my area were super down for Joe Biden, maybe because, he came up with Obama. But on Twitter, for sure, on social media, on YouTube, I feel like all people talked about was Biden's past. Which is interesting. It's interesting to me because I don't know, there's a lot of people who haven't been following me for a while, but those that have been following for a while might remember that I got so much shit when I talked about not voting for Hillary Clinton. Like, I voted for Jill Stein in that election, and I got so much shit from people on the left. But now people on the left give you shit for voting for the Democrat. It's different times. But again, I'm not interested in trying to read people's hearts and minds. I go off what people say. I'm not a mind reader. I'm not a fortune teller. If someone says something, I take it at their word. Unless they have like a history of repeated counterexamples of the thing that they said, and not just like, oh, they did this 20 years ago, but like currently they do this now. I could see that, like Trump says he's the least racist person you'd ever meet, but then he constantly does and says racist shit all the time. So I wouldn't take him on his word on that. But if you acknowledge that a position that you had 20 years ago is wrong, and you publicly say it was a mistake and I'm going to move forward, and then you do move forward and you show that you're different, it seems silly to me to harp on something that the person has clearly evolved on. But we have reached the 2-hour mark of the stream, and I think that I'm gonna go ahead and wind the stream down here. Got a few things that I need to take care of today. So I maybe can respond to like 1 or 2 more messages here. But thanks for everyone for checking out the stream. I mean, we do have more than 2 parties, but only 2 of them ever win. Like I said, I should have a new video next week. Look out for that. I'm gonna try to stream again on Monday, and then again on next Friday. Probably just before I release a new video. But yeah, I don't know. I'm politics. There's something I realized. Once you realize that nobody knows what they're talking about, like, and that sounds like really cynical, but the vast majority of people just either they follow the crowd or they just say some shit based on very little information. Like, really do your own information, think for yourself, do your own research. I mean, think for yourself, and like, stop worrying about what other people say, because most people don't know what they're talking about. Like, and this is truly, it's sad, but it's true. Especially if you're getting your information for something like Twitter or YouTube. These people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And, even though I'm the one saying this, you should assume that that's true of me as well, until you see evidence to the contrary. You should do your own research, and you should think for yourself. Don't just go along with the crowd. Don't just go along with the narrative. Don't go along with what's cool to say, what's hip to say. Think for yourself. And once I realized that, I realized a lot of the shit that people say is just wrong. It's just factually wrong. And B, it's okay if I say my view and it's not the prevailing view. If I did my own research and I came to a conclusion, that's okay. It's a little different for me because as a public figure, sometimes people will shit on you for having opinions. Sometimes like hundreds or thousands of people will dogpile you for having certain opinions. And that sucks. And sometimes it can be harmful to your career and shit. That part of it sucks. But on a personal level, I think that people need to stop being so concerned about like what other people are talking about. Just like figure it out for yourself. If I could reform something right now, would it be? My immediate concern would be to solve poverty. And there's a lot of approaches to that. The one that I've generally favored, just like on a philosophical level, is just by making basic necessities free. But there's a lot of approaches like UBI, increasing minimum wage, things like that. But that would be the first thing I've focused on. Anyway, thank you for checking out the stream. I want to plug the Discord. If you guys are interested in Discord, we have a Discord for our channel. Just go to theonejanitor.com/Discord. It is a very chill community. If you've seen, you can see how chill my chat is in the streams. That's how it is on the Discord as well. We keep it real chill and real positive. That's the idea. Don't come and start shit because you'll probably be kicked pretty quickly. So yeah, I always want to plug the Discord. But other than that, I think that's it. If you have access to the description below the video, there should be some links to all my social media and stuff like that, both on Twitch and YouTube. If you want to talk to me more, you can email me, hello@theonejanitor.com. If you have any like more in-depth questions, you can do that. Or you can ask questions anonymously on curiouscat.me/theonejanitor. I don't know anything about Kevin Samuels really. But that's going to end the stream. Hopefully I'll see you on Monday. If not, I'll see you on Friday. And the best way, obviously, to make sure you don't miss that is to click the notification bell. You can do that if you want. It's up to you. Anyway, I'll see y'all at some point. Bye.